And I think the fact that Mr. Obama's mother is a white woman, I think it prevents her from going hard on the race question. And when you study Africa, when you study the fall of Africa, you will find that Africa was not destroyed by white armies. Africa was destroyed by mulatto armies. What normally happened was the European conquerors came into Africa, cohabitated with the women, and over the process of 20 to 40 years, they changed the color. And then they used their mulatto offspring to fight against their darker brothers. Something that still goes on today in America. In fact, in Nigeria, as we speak, the Orientals who have invaded the Nigerian economy are marrying African women to do the same thing, to bastardize the native population, to raise up an entire group of Oriental African children who they will then use to oppress the native Africans. When you don't study your history, you repeat it. What I'm trying to get you to understand is much of the diagnoses, much of the disruptive behavior diagnoses that we use on black children were paid for by the drug companies. The drug exists before the diagnosis. You need to understand this. The drug exists before the diagnosis. The diagnosis is created to feed the prescription. The diagnosis is created to feed the description. To give you a quick point, deadly sin number one. Let's talk about abortion. This is a quote. Several years ago, 17,000 aborted black babies were found in a dumpster outside a pathology laboratory in Los Angeles. 12 to 15,000 were observed to be black. Did you know that? 17,000 aborted babies in LA. What it's not telling you is that the dumpster where these 17,000 black aborted babies were found was right near a United States government testing laboratory. The United States still has not ratified the 1948 United Nations Genocide Conventions, which made crime of genocide an international crime. Why has the United States government not ratified that document from the Geneva Convention pertaining to genocide? Because the government continues to be, has always been, about the business of getting rid of you. And most of us, when we celebrate the end of slavery, and I don't understand how we celebrate 4th of July, if I can regress for a moment. What were you on July 4th, 1776? You were a slave, and you didn't get your freedom, not with Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which he made in 1862, and went into effect 1863. That didn't free you. That only freed who? Slaves in states that were currently in armed rebellion. So if Jefferson Davis and the Confederacy had already withdrew from the United States of America, when Lincoln said you were free, did it mean anything? No. Because he executed an order over a new nation over which he had no control. And then in 1865, it still didn't matter. Slavery ended in December of 1865 with the passage of the 13th Amendment by the United States Congress. December of 1865. The Emancipation Proclamation meant absolutely nothing. And anybody who celebrates July 4th, I need to question your sanity too. Okay? Because you celebrate the freedom of your former conqueror, colonizer, and slave master, but you didn't have yours yet, and you still don't today. Where's your supermarket? Where's your planes? Where's your ships? Where's your submarines? Where's your hospitals? Where's your multinational corporations? You don't have none, but you'll say you're free because you drive a nice car with big rims on it. Okay? But what do you control? And one of the things we thought to realize, black people say, like in Philadelphia, you probably all heard we had a situation where a group of black campers were told that they couldn't swim in a certain pool. They gave the check back and said, I got to go somewhere else. And people said, well, I thought this was over. One thing you got to understand about white racists is never over until every last one of you are gone. HIV is not an accident, good people. HIV is what? A strategy for what? Population control. Abortion is a strategy for what? Population control. Ebola, West Nile. And AIDS, they would have you believe what? Where did they say AIDS come from? To this day, where are they saying AIDS come from? A monkey in the Congo. Listen. And this is the official line of the U.S. government. A monkey in the Congo, Central Africa, which is the richest piece of real estate on the face of the earth. Does that make any sense to you? But this is what's going on. Because we believe anything we see on TV, we believe anything the teacher tells us, the principal tells us, and they might be well-meaning individuals. But that's why you got to get a political consciousness, African people. You can no longer just swallow everything that's given, including what I'm saying. I want you to research me because I know it's 100% fact. But the reason why I need you to research me as well as everybody else, because if you just accept what I say and don't research it, you'll accept the next man. I'm telling you the truth, he might be lying. So you got to get in the habit of questioning everything, especially what you see on CNN. Where they said that a monkey in the Congo cohabitated with a black woman. And that's how AIDS came to be. And Ebola. Now, they don't say how the disease jumped from the monkey to the woman, but it happened. So my question to you, who in here is foolish enough to think that AIDS and Ebola comes from a monkey cohabitating with a black woman? But that is the dominant line of the government. If you don't believe me, go and research it right now. Do y'all follow me? Anything you see on TV desensitizes you to the effects of it. That's how you control the people. It's called propaganda. And if you've never read a book on propaganda, go and get one. It is the deliberate controlling of people's minds through the images that you saw. CNN, C-SPAN, controlled by big corporate business. During the presidential race, Obama, I told people Obama would win soon when he got in the race. They said, well, why you say that? He's black. If you say so, but that ain't why he's going to win. He's going to win because he was chosen back when he was at Columbia University as an undergrad. Do you know who Obama's undergrad advisor was? A man by the name of Zbigniew Brzezinski. Do you know who Zbigniew Brzezinski was? He's the man that the Rockefeller family paid in 1973 to create the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. You got to study this stuff, black people. Study it. You ain't going to get nothing new from him. It's the same old thing. You'll see in 8 years because y'all not convinced yet. Next slide. Tobacco and liquor are drugs. Cigarettes and alcohol kill more blacks every year than cocaine and marijuana. Let me say that again. More of us will die from cigarettes and alcohol than we will from weed or crack. So why does weed and crack send you to jail, but alcohol and cigarettes don't? You notice that? Because alcohol, first of all, one thing you got to understand about the government again, and when I say government, I'm speaking of all European governments, that's France, Britain, UK. Do you know that illegal drugs and legal drugs are made by the same people? Did you know that? Do you know that illegal drugs is worth $500 billion a year to the United States economy? Without illegal drugs, Wall Street would crash. Why did America go into Afghanistan in 9/11? Was it to make the world first safe for democracy? It ain't safe here. Because Afghanistan is the #1 poppy producing country on the face of the earth. If you don't believe me, go and look it up. The Taliban have burned all the poppy seed in Afghanistan. And former Secretary of State Colin Powell went over there and gave them a $50 million grant, which was reported in the New York Times. Why would the Secretary of State for the United States be giving the Afghani people $50 million to replant poppy seed so America gets its supply? And Wall Street will fall without it. You don't need a computer every day. You don't need a car every day. You don't need a toaster every day. You don't need a video game every day. But crack, you need. So they funnel the drug profit through Wall Street so Wall Street can stay afloat, good people. The #1 business of America is drugs. What made America big? Tobacco and hemp. Hemp is nothing but marijuana. Do you know more hemp was grown in America than any other crop during the Revolutionary period? And they talking about the anti-drug. If they was anti-drug, there would have never been no American Revolution. Hip-hop culture. How could it be a black culture when the whole thing is controlled by white people? There's not a rapper you can name who own their own publishing. Not one. To my young black men in here, Rockefeller's not no label. Rockefeller's owned by Def Jam, and Def Jam is owned by Universal. Don't no black people sit on the board at Universal. G-Unit is owned by Eminem, who's a racist, and he's owned by Aftermath, and Aftermath is owned by Interscope. That's a Jewish corporation. Don't no black people own Interscope. What's wrong with us? And we got our kids running around thinking these Negroes out here got some power. One thing you need to understand about the presidency, because most of y'all think the presidency is a person, right? Because that's what you get in civics class. The presidency is an institution with a face on it. There are hundreds of men and women who tell them people what to say out their mouth. Will you please get that through your head? Why did Obama say this? Obama ain't doing nothing but reading from a script. Why is he president? Because white supremacy is on one leg. The last 8 years, they done messed up the world so much that the world is about to say, we ain't scared of you no more, and you're not going to bully us around. So the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Federal Reserve, the Bilderbergers, the Rothschilds, and all the Europeans who run this country got together and said, if we want to save it, we got to put a new face on it. So somebody said, how about him? He's half and half. They said he can talk well. Put him in there. Obama's job is to put America back to where it used to be. He's their last chance. He ain't there to undo white supremacy. He's there to re-strengthen it. He just came back from Ghana. What you think he was over there giving a shout out to Kwame Nkrumah? Hell no! He's over there trying to make Ghana safe for what? Financial exploitation through American gas and oil companies, because the west coast of Africa has the what? Largest untapped source of oil and gas on the planet Earth. Do you know what that means? That means that you're going to start seeing a whole bunch of terrorists being made up by the news, and they're going to be in Africa. Because you know the job is to do what? Create an enemy that don't exist so you can go in and solve the problem that you started and come out with some gas and oil. And we got our young kids worshiping diamonds. I don't want no young people worshiping no diamonds and no gold, because you all need to know that there's enough diamonds under the soil of Africa that if you put every diamond on the world market at the same time, you drop the price of diamonds to a nickel a piece. And they sell them for $20,000. You want to know why? Because the Oppenheimer family that controls the diamond industry, which comes from Cecil John Rhodes, who conquered South Africa and killed nearly 50 million blacks, cut off breasts and everything else to intimidate the South Africans so that nobody would sell a diamond but him, created a scholarship program called the Rhodes Scholar. And the purpose of the Rhodes Scholarship program was to do what? Train leaders who would continue to imbibe, as he said, quote, the British imperial ethos. The British imperial ethos. The Rhodes Scholarship Program is a program for white supremacy. They just started giving blacks Rhodes Scholarships in the 70s. But the black ones do the same thing. Help white supremacy stand strong. Y'all got to know this. Y'all got to know this. The Oppenheimer hires mercenaries to go through Africa. And if they find anybody selling diamonds, they kill them. I'm telling you what I know. They kill them. You better not be found with a diamond in Africa or your brains will be taken from you. Why you think there's no diamond countries over there? In the Congo, they run through the water, brothers and sisters. They run through the water like rocks. And you over here killing yourself for it? Do you know how the diamond became the engagement ring of choice? The Oppenheimer family put millions of dollars into a television public relations campaign where hundreds of white women was flashed on TV for 10 years with a diamond. And they equated diamond with love so they could get rich. It ain't okay to shoot police, but it definitely ain't okay to shoot young black boys. But if only two, and we're looking at Philly, if only two were killed, but yet y'all killed 37 of us, how is it that the media is making it like the police are the ones being shot and killed? It's called propaganda. Propaganda is what? The science of controlling the way people think. I can make you like Obama, but if I ask one of you, why did you vote for him, you probably give me a silly reason. When I asked people why they voted for Obama, you know this. One person said he was handsome. Somebody else said, I like his swag. Okay? Somebody else said he was black. Negro reasons. See, those are Negro reasons. Give me a concrete reason why you voted. You don't even know. Because the news and the Urban League and the NAACP, both are white organizations, by the way, they control the way you think. And the next thing you know, you at the ballot box voting, and you don't even know why. Propaganda. Next slide. And for those of you who voted for him, there's nothing wrong with that. I just want you to study him a little bit more. Okay? It don't matter whether you vote for him or not, as far as I'm concerned. Why? Because you don't pick presidents. People never did. You have never chosen a president in this country, black people or white people. The president of the United States has always been elected by the Electoral College, which is a private group of men who are put in office by the bankers who run this country to choose who they want. The United States of America is not a democracy. And if you disagree with me, I ask you to show me the word in your Constitution. Show me the word in the Declaration of Independence. Show me the word in the Michigan State Constitution. It is not there. They have played with your mind because you do not study. A thinking man can never be made a slave. A thinking woman can never be made a slave. You must question and think everything. Everywhere I go, I carry a little pad and a pen because when I hear something, I say, okay, that sounds like it kind of matched me, but I need to research that. Take nothing for granted. Get that information.